Okay, we are back on the Pocher Mercedes and we're ready to do the steering. I got the front suspension, front axles, hubs all installed. That was pretty much just as the kit has it go. I've got this thing right here installed, which I had to make a few changes, the way the cable was routed around the pulley and stuff from the way the instructions show, because the way the instructions show just doesn't work. If any of you know what this is, please let me know, because I would be curious. I'm not really sure exactly. Don't know if that has something to do with brakes. I don't know. So if you have any idea what that is, let me know. But we are going to focus on the steering. You can see part of the instructions right here, whereas for the kit calls out, it's just a screw and a nut around a wire with a little bit hoop in it, and they just use those little metal covers to kind of make it look nice. So that would basically be this. This is what the kit provides, and after you put the screw in there, well, the screw actually goes through a kind of like a washer, but it has a shoulder around it. That doesn't really fit on there very well, but something like that. And you know, this is okay. It's okay. But Model MotorCars makes something much better. You can get a set of these steering knuckles, I guess that's what they're called. And they are, I'm assuming, cast. They're probably cast brass. But you get 6 of these. So you get 6 of those. And you get 6 tiny little bolts and 6 washers that go under the bolt head. And you also get a piece of brass rod, and there's plenty here. And if you order the kit, you can then download the instructions. Step-by-step instructions tells you exactly how to do it. I'm just going to kind of give you the rundown here. But first off, what you need to do is you take the kit supplied steering arms. One will go here on the steering gearbox, and the other one goes here on that part. But you have to take both of those, and you have to drill open that hole here and here, because the way the holes are too small, because you want that to fit in there. You want that to fit in there like that. And then you put on the washer and the nut. And let's see if I can get that to focus a little bit better. So again, that goes into the hole. Now this measures, so on mine, now these are all cast parts, so I'm sure you might find some various or slight variations. That way measures 2.3, that way measures 2.27, close enough to 2.3. So I started with a 2.3 millimeter drill and opened those holes up to 2.3. They fit, but they were kind of tight. I ended up using, well, that's not right. Okay, 2.45. So I used a 2.44, 2.45 drill. And that gave me, I think that was the right drill bit I used. Yeah, see right there measures 2.37. So it's not perfectly round. You know, you can get anywhere from 2.3 to 2.37, depending where you are on that shoulder. So anyways, I drilled the holes open to about 2.4, 2.44. And this is how they set. So here's one with the 2 pieces installed. And there's supposed to be some movement like this. Is that focused? Yeah. There's supposed to be some movement. It tells you that in the instructions. So you put that in, and then you put on the washer and the bolt. And they even tell you, don't crank the bolt all the way down tight because you need some movement. And so I'm thinking, well, those bolts are going to be a little bit loose, and over time they're just going to vibrate loose and fall out. Because the normal Pocher parts, the normal nuts and bolts on the Pocher parts, well, they're a really loose fit. So I've been putting a little bit of Loctite on all of the nuts and bolts and all the suspension, just so nothing comes loose. So after I would put all the nuts on the threaded shafts and bolts, and after I screwed everything down, I would then use this. I've shown this before. This is a penetrating thread lock. So after you put the nut on, you put a little drop on it, and capillary action will pull it into the threads and lock it in. And this is just enough to keep things from working loose and falling apart later, and then a couple years down the road, everything's all crooked and sagging because all the hardware came loose. So I use this on everything. So I assumed I was going to need some thread lock on the bolts here, but you don't. These are a tight enough thread that as soon as you get it started, like one thread in, you can feel that it's a tight, close tolerance thread. So I actually used some smooth jaw pliers on the bolt to turn it in, to tighten it. And once it was all the way down, once it stopped turning, I stopped cranking on it. These are tiny bolts and they are brass. If you overdo it, you're going to break them or strip them out. So just run them down until they stop, and that's good. You don't need Loctite. You don't need to crank them down tight. So anyways, you're going to do 2 of them like this. And so I still have to put the other ones on. So let me get these 2 mounted here, and then we will cut up the brass rod and get that installed. So give me a few minutes and we'll get back with you. Okay, so from that brass rod, you need to cut 3 pieces. The long one's about 53 millimeters, and the 2 short ones are about 33 millimeters. And these just get glued in with CA down here. So before you glue them in, you want to test fit them. So we'll put this one in here first. And the instructions tell you that with that in, these 2 arms should be very slightly pointing this way. That's exaggerated, but not parallel, but very slightly in this way, which it looks like they are. And then we can put test fit these in. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention earlier that on the steering arm on the wheel, that piece right there, you'll have to drill that out to fit that, just like we talked about with these. And then we'll put this one in. And you may have to tweak, and when I say tweak, I mean bend, the arms here or here just to get everything to fit. And when everything is together, again, those arms are very slightly in, and it says for the best steering angle, best steering geometry, the front wheel should be towed in very slightly as well, which once these are glued, they will be. So just test fit, make sure everything's good, and then again, those just get glued in. And before you glue them in, it would be a really good idea to sand the ends to give them some tooth. Just sand the ends here, give them a little bit of tooth for the glue, and just put a little bit of glue on it and stick them in, and that'll lock them in pretty well. CA and brass, especially when you have a a tube and a hole like that, that's going to lock that in very nicely. So let me get these glued in, and we'll get back and see how it looks, and then we'll just take a quick look at a few other things, and we'll call it done for now. Okay, I know it probably doesn't look much different than last time it was together, but they are now glued in, and I did get a little bit of the Loctite here and here, and I did a quick black wash over the brass parts just to take the shine of the brass off and to make it look, pull out the details a bit, make it look a little more like it's underneath a car. So those are done, and kind of see there's your steering here. So Yeah, I like it. It definitely looks a lot better than the kit parts, for sure. See if I can zoom into that at all. Yeah, definitely looks better than the kit parts. So let me flip this over, take a look at a few other things, and we'll call this video done for now. The firewall is just temporarily installed. That was just so I could get that lined up here. But here you can get a view of the top side of the suspension and the steering parts. I don't know if we can get a view of the bottom side of the, or kind of a front view of the steering knuckles. I'll put some more black wash on the front view. I just kind of did the bottom for a bit. But that's what those look like. I think it's a nice addition to the kit. Nice looking parts for Model MotorCars. And again, definitely better than kit parts. I also got the back, got the rear end put in, back wheels, axles put in, got the brake cables put in, and that part of the exhaust. Now, one thing I do want to mention about the exhaust, he also got, see if I can flip this around, he also got the scale exhaust pieces, again from Model MotorCars. These replace these. So this right here is the kit part, and then that is the part from Model MotorCars. Now, the last Mercedes I did a couple of years ago, if any of you guys saw that one, I got a piece of this from one of those old, well, not old, from a Bic lighter, like a fireplace lighter that has the flexible end, and I cut a piece off of that. I don't know if that's what this is or not. It looks like it. But if you buy the set from Model MotorCars, you also get a set of metal flanges for that go on the engine with some hardware for that. So that's a nice addition to it as well. Plus, you don't have to shop around for the right kind of lighter and then take it all apart. So this comes with it. Plus, it comes with an aluminum rod that goes inside of it, so you can bend it to shape, and that'll help it hold its shape. But in order to use this, in order to install this, it has to fit over top of that part here, and come on, don't get stuck. There we go. And here. So this on the kit was too big to fit in here. So you have to sand that down until it fits in here. And it was, I think, about 6 millimeters in diameter. And I had to take it down to 4 1/4. I think it's closer to 4. Yeah, 4 1/4. So it was 6, and you take it down to 4 1/4. So you're taking away a lot of that material. So what I did, I was a little concerned about that just breaking off right here. Like when you put that over top of it, any stress might break that off. So I drilled in a 2 millimeter hole all the way down to about here. And then this was all the way down to about here. And then I bonded in a steel rod. So there's a steel rod in the center that comes all the way down to here. And that will prevent that from breaking. Hopefully, it should. I can't imagine it breaking now. So I would recommend you do that as well. So I kind of see the end of the rod sticking up there and a little bit there. So anyways, I highly recommend you do that as well, just so those don't break off. So those are now ready for that, but I'm not going to do that until closer to the end of the build. Obviously, the engine has to be installed. Again, this is just temporarily clamped in. This still has to get painted. So I'll be taking this off and painting that. And then the next step will be putting the engine in, but not this video. That's going to be a later video. This video, I just wanted to focus on the steering hardware and point out a few other things. So I'm going to cut this one short now. And as always, thanks for watching.